Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and today we have a guest all the way down from the great state of Florida, I believe, is where you're currently at. This is Connor Derrickson, and he is that pickleball trainer. He is, as far as I know, in my research, you're training with Catherine Parinto, Anna Bright, Travis Rettenmeyer, Rachel Rohrbacher, and I'm sure the list goes on and on. You also went to Salisbury University right up the street here in Maryland. And then you got your master's at Weber International University. So tell me just a little bit about that, your school and how you ended up at an international university and, you know, how you ended up.
Yeah, I don't even know why it's called that. It's just pretty much like, I don't know, they take some more international kids. I don't really know. It's a pretty small private university. I got my MBA there, but I just pretty much went there because I was a graduate assistant that had like a good training and conditioning program for a guy I wanted to work under. So I was like, all right, I got to get my master's, you know, because if you want to be a coach in the collegiate sector or professional sector, a strength coach anyway, or any kind of coach, you just had to have a master's. Didn't really matter what it was in. You just kind of had to have it.
Yeah, you got to have the piece of paper to get in the door, huh?
Got to have the piece of paper to be a coach, and especially collegiate, but a lot of times at the professional level too. Yeah, so that's where I went. So where are you in Maryland? You're in DC area?
I'm in the DC area. I'm actually in Clifton, Virginia, in Fairfax County. You familiar at all?
Gotcha. I know of, you know, like I know the area, but
yeah, a little southwest of the city, actually, probably like an hour drive because traffic sucks up here, which was one of my beefs for today. And that I've gotten quite used to traffic being okay since 2020 when everyone decided to stay home. And now that people are going back to the office, man, it's frustrating around here.
It's most people don't realize that like DC traffic is like the worst in the country.
Oh yeah, there's only one other road that kind of competes, and that's the LA whatever that is freeway over there. And other than that, DC's the worst.
Yeah, it's insane.
Who grew up in Chincoteague? Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, good job. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Most people butcher that.
Well,
that's where I grew up.
Yeah, I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, down at the beach as well. And grew up surfing and fishing, going offshore and doing the beach thing. Are you a beach guy?
Yeah, man. I mean, I grew up a mile away, you know, from the beach. Like as a kid, I'd bike to the beach every day, you know, in the summer. So surfing and all that stuff, grew up doing. So yeah, it's like it was. I mean, that's the life, you know. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and Chincoteague is famous for its wild horses that run around like the Outer Banks, correct?
Yeah. So the horses pretty much just roam free over there on the island, on the beach and whatnot, which is, you know, kind of wild to a lot of people. Like it's pretty natural to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have like a pony swim every year, which is insane too. You know, like where they swim the ponies from like the beach, which is an island, to another island, and they like auction them off for like charity or whatever you could call it for the fire company. So yeah, it's kind of wild. It's like a big spectacle event. Like hundreds of thousands of people come and watch, and boats are everywhere. It's a big thing. But
that's very cool. That is very cool. Did you ever have any interesting high school moments where you were chasing wild ponies around in the dunes?
No, nothing like that. I was getting into some other stupid stuff, I'm sure.
Hey, at least you'll admit it. I appreciate that. Yeah. We all did it.
Sure. Yeah, well now nobody's like everybody. If you're listening to this has nothing to do with pickleball. I'm sorry. We can chat the pickle for sure though.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. And well, I guess I wanted to talk to you because I'm always intrigued with training and and trying to get faster and better. I play at like a 4.5, almost 5.0 level. And I'm just finding when I'm playing younger guys, the athleticism seems to be the upper hand for most of them. Just a little bit faster hands, a little bit quicker on the court. How did you get into training? And you said you were looking to train under someone else. Was this specifically for pickle, or were you trying to go into like a basketball or baseball or another sports arena?
Yeah. So I'll give you like a 2-minute synopsis of how I got into pickleball and into training. So I played baseball in college. Wasn't that great. I was like, all right, what am I going to do after this? I'm not, you know, I'm like, I didn't really, I didn't really try that hard. It was just enough to get by in college. I was like, oh, then I got into training and had some good mentors in that realm. I was like, dude, I could do this for a living. Like working out's awesome. I get to coach people, and then I had some good mentors. And then I went to grad school because I wanted to work under a couple of other people that were like relatively high in the strength conditioning field. It's just kind of like a small knit community there. So I got my grad degree. Did some internship at different places, like up in Connecticut. I went out to Iowa, a couple other places. Uh, and then I landed a job, full-time job with the Minnesota Twins. But I started working in baseball. I was like, all right,
That's
this is
awesome.
perfect. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Like that was like my goal. I play baseball. I love the sport. Love the pro game. So I started working for the Minnesota Twins. Did some affiliate ball. Then I was like the rehab strength and conditioning coach. So I was based out of Fort Myers, Florida, about 2 hours south, hour and a half south of where I live now. I was based out of Fort Myers, Florida. I was the rehab strength and conditioning coach. So pretty much I would work with anybody from the big leagues to rookie ball that would get injured. They would come to us, myself, the PTs, ATs that were based out of there. They would do the rehab stint, whether that's 6 months or 6 weeks, whatever it is for them. Then they'd go back to the respective affiliate. That gig was great. Pro Bowl is just it's a different world, and I kind of wanted to like, I'm not like, I boss, I guess I should say. Like I just kind of wanted to like do my own thing and like kind of venture out. Um, so then I started doing like I got out after almost 3 years, started doing like more one-on-one training, a lot of virtual training, and then an old friend and colleague got a call from a professional pickleball player that was interested in training and needed somebody like on her side. Uh, and her coach reached out to him. You good? Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I'm good. Sorry. These things are just driving me nuts and I don't really need them.
Oh, good. Her coach reached out to him. He's like, dude, this isn't really a good fit for me. He reached out to me. He's like, I think this could be, might be something you're interested in. Like, whatever. I took a call and everything went great. It was Catherine and Athena. It was Catherine. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
looked her up, I was like, she's pretty good at pickleball too, like,
She's pretty good.
uh, and at the time, that's all it was to me. I was like, yeah, she looks like she wins a lot, I guess, like I
Well,
played
when I
this
saw
game,
you were
like,
working with her, I was a little confused because I thought Athena had a personal training background and that was kind of her role within
oh,
that
no,
group.
no, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
just way off
They're
on that, huh?
partners. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
partners. And, she's just kind of like her manager.
Okay. Management
And,
versus a trainer. Gotcha. I
sure.
knew they were
Yeah.
together off the court.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was like, I mean, we just hit it off from day one. And I started traveling with them on the tour and was pretty much going to almost all the events with them, and trained her for almost 2 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I mean, a year and a half, 2 years, it was great.
So she was
And
like
then,
your
well, and I
intro
guess like,
into the
yeah,
pickleball
I was
world.
like, well, this is great. And like probably 2 months in, I'm like, whoa, like even from like month one to month two, like one, the game has already grown dramatically in those 2 months. Uh, Two, I was like, this is the sport. I'm gonna like dive headfirst into this. Like, so how can I like? I'm a trainer traveling with a professional athlete in this sport that's brand new. I was like, one, there's nobody else doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I was like, I could be terrible at my job, like terrible, but I get instant credibility because I'm with Catherine. Really good. So like, I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, right? Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of how it works. And I was like, well, I might as well like, I'm gonna dive headfirst into this, right? Like, and kind of use that to my advantage. And it's been pickleball ever since, right? Like that was back in late 2022. And yeah, it's been great ever since. And so I worked with Catherine up until like the end of this past year. So we actually live a little bit like an hour and a half from each other because I was still here and she's down there in like
Mm-hmm.
Naples area. So it was like a lot of back and forth pretty much. Um, but yeah, I mean Travis Weidmeyer lives a mile from me. Like I train him all the time. I train Dana
Nice.
Bright now.
He's one of my
Um,
favorite dudes. I appreciate a guy that will say what he thinks and doesn't care.
to a fault a lot at times. But yeah, I agree. I agree. It probably hinders him sometimes. But yeah, he's a big softy at heart. He's a good dude.
So you went from pro baseball and training, I would call some of the strongest and most
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the the burst that comes in pro
right.
baseball, giant thighs
Yeah,
and asses, and just
yeah,
like they're really fast.
yeah,
Over to the
yeah,
pickleball world, how was that transition as far as what you're developing,
yeah.
what you're working on?
Sure. Yeah, very totally different, and it definitely has its similarities too, right? Like obviously like baseball is more of a rotational sport to an extent. Like they're both rotational sports, but um, where baseball is more of a rotational power sport, right? Like it's like one burst of energy, one
Hmm.
swing of the bat where you need like max power. Um, and yeah, they're large humans. You go from like being in the same room as Nelson Cruz, and it's just like you're a huge human that's like been doing this at a high level for a long time. Then it's like
Hmm.
you have other studs, like other people that are just like, all right, well, like in the pickleball, like you're stupid fast and agile and all these different things, but like you move really well, like in this plane, like side to side laterally, whereas like these other players like just rotate a lot better than you and like can do things in a linear fashion better. Um, so similarities, like obviously, like they're both rotational. Like shoulder and cuff comes into play for both for sure. The difference is like obviously a little bit more on the wrist and elbow, like maintenance inside of things. Obviously with pickleball,
Hmm.
as well as we do a lot more like agility work, right? Like um, that's like broad scale, and also like actually like training the professional athlete. Like the similar side is like, well, you look at a Major League Baseball schedule, they play 162 games a year and they play pretty much every day. So like we train, like we work out like on game days all the time, right? Like
Wow. Okay.
everybody does.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to, or you don't work out, right? Like you get one day off a month, and like during that one day off, like nobody shows up to the
That's
clubhouse,
crazy.
right? Like
I
it's like
forget how much
mandatory.
of a grind baseball is. It
It's
really
a
is a
grind,
grind.
dude, just
Yeah.
mentally, because you just got to show up and like every day. It's like it's just insane. So yeah, everybody, like you get to the clubhouse at let's say noon. If you have a workout that day, you work out maybe 12:30, and then you have whatever kind of drill practice beforehand. You come back, you eat, spread, and then whatever you have a game at night at 7 o'clock or whatever. Where this is a little bit different, where it's like you're planning different phases because well they're playing all year long. Like you look at the pro schedule and like Anna, for example, she's a psycho and she wants to play every tournament and won't take off.
Hmm.
Uh, so she's playing like 25 plus tournaments a year. So it's like, all right, I'm trying to like wrap my brain around how can I plan proper phases for her to like one peak for what's most important for her, as well as
Hmm.
like how can I maintain certain attributes of her strength, speed, and whatnot, as well as like find little gaps to like really develop her. So it's like it's really like an art of like playing with certain things and like being able to listen to her as well. Like, hey, like I'm a little bit beat up now. It's like, all right, let's take this chance to listen to your body and then different things like that. So uh, it's definitely it's very different, but
Yeah.
it's been challenging. It's been fun for sure.
How does so I know like in singles the cardio aspect of it
Yeah,
is huge, and doubles not so much in the cardio world, but I do
yeah,
find like when you're going deep in tournaments, the first thing that I start feeling is my thighs and my
yeah,
legs starting to go, and then I know, uh-oh, I've got maybe 2 or 3 more matches left in me before things start to
yeah,
go downhill.
yeah. And I think conditioning is a lot more important in pickleball than most people even give it the credit for. Mainly because of one, what you said, well, for a couple of reasons. I would say at the professional level, uh, the grind of everything of like, all right, on a macro scale, I'm looking at your year and like I have it laid out in like an Excel sheet. Like that's a grind of like, all right, let's 25 tournaments you're playing. Let's if you do play singles and let's go call it traditional draw
Mm-hmm.
or whichever draw. Let's just say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and players that I work with happen to be good and they end up playing on Sunday. So you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, Pretty hard and intense days, right? All those days, and let's say 25 days a year. So like in your 15th tournament of the year, like what are you feeling like one after like all of this workload on your body? Like that's one way of looking at it as like macro scale workload. Also just players um, that play a little bit different. So I just started working with James Ignatowicz over the last month, and like conditioning is a big factor with him
Because he hops
because
up and down the whole time.
yeah, he plays different, right? Like he expends a lot of energy, more
Yeah.
energy than most, right? And he doesn't play like this methodical, like Ben. Like there's no wasted movement, no wasted energy at all, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and he's
and
almost
he's
like
in great shape too, but
he almost
uh,
moves slowly around the court in between points. It's and I actually picked that up from him that I do now. It's just like drag along in between
yeah,
points.
and he's like super fast, but like he doesn't look like he is because like there's literally no wasted movement. But like James, for example, like he wants to prioritize conditioning because he knows that he has to because of how he plays and just like how he plays mix. He plays such an aggressive mix and he takes so much court and he's obviously jumping and those things. So I think conditioning and like my third reasoning is I think like cardio, fitness, conditioning is important because um, I think the margins are just so small in pickleball of like just missing by an inch or like having a little bit more speed on each ball can like win you a hands battle or can just I think the margins are so small so like even if you're not like necessarily fatigued, but if you're at like a 90% or let's say like a 93% and like you're giving up or your legs are giving out just a little bit and those margins change and you like miss one shot or like not even miss a shot, but like you don't curve a shot or bend a shot or like you miss a backhand, something like that. Like that stuff's pivotal. And like at the high level, like you're not going to beat Anna Lee if you're like that, right? Like
Mm-mm.
you're not going to beat Anna Lee probably anyway. Like, but
Yeah.
you got to get stack the odds in your favor, right? Like, so I think it's a lot more important than most people think.
Yeah, I always know like when my legs start going, that's when I don't want to stay in dink battles anymore.
Yeah,
Squatted down up at the kitchen,
yeah,
trying to move
yeah,
laterally back and forth, and that's where you
yep,
start pulling the trigger on some really stupid
yeah,
balls. And
yep. And I always say like I don't want the things like the easy thing that we can control to be a factor in why you're going to lose a game or why you're going to lose a match, right? Like this is very simple and like this is a very easy controllable. Like let's control it. Let's make sure that your ass is in shape so that when you're out there, that's never a question of like I think I might have been a little tired. Like these players, like these ex tennis players, are already psychos as it is compared to
mhm,
like I thought baseball players were like superstitious and whatnot. Like these ex tennis background players are like they're insane. It's funny.
yeah.
But I don't want that to be going through your head, right? Like, I don't want you to be thinking like, "Oh, I'm tired. I'm a little bit out of shape." Like, no, let's nip that in the bud.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the reasons I've been working a lot on my legs, doing a lot of the
Yeah,
stair stepper. And you're probably telling me I'm doing it all wrong, but I have a couple of things that I like to do.
yeah. No, it's
But
good.
I have worked with trainers in the past, and I remember them telling me just do the things you don't like to do. So burpees being one of them. You
Yeah,
just got to
yeah,
do them. They suck,
yeah,
but you got to do
yeah. That's
them.
funny. That's funny.
So,
Uh,
tell me just a little bit about. Hold on one sec. What was the next one?
you're,
How do you choose? Oh, I know where I was going with that. So you work with a lot of pro level players, but
mhm,
I would say the majority, if not all of the people that are listening to this pod are 3.5 to 5.0, maybe 5.5 at
yeah.
the top end. In your
Mhm,
opinion, what would be the two or three best directions to go in your fitness um,
yeah,
to start with? And do you have a
yeah.
preference versus lifting heavy or doing body weight exercises or trying to mix and match a little bit? Long
Yeah.
question. I'm sorry.
No, that's a good question. And that's really like the so our business, like so what I do also is mainly is, I train in my team. I have a team that works for me. Like we train amateurs all over the country virtually, right? Like with one-on-one training.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so we do online personal training pretty much. So it's all one-on-one. There's a real coach, real programming that's like specific to you, your needs, your equipment, all these things. Um, so that's what we do, and like we train amateurs all around the country. Um, so like the easy answer is it depends because it just depends on you and what you need and what you're looking for, right? Like so we try and we don't try. We meet every athlete where they're at in their journey, right? Like so if they never worked out in their life, they're going from zero. All they do is play pickleball, let's say 3 times a week. Uh, maybe they're a 3-5, they're not very athletic. Like I said, they never worked out. We're gonna gradually build you into that. Let's say you have a couple dumbbells at your house, or no, you don't have dumbbells, you just have a couple bands. Like, all right, uh, what we're going to do is we're going to devise a plan. What can you commit to? Let's say you can commit to 3 days a week working out for 30 minutes. We're going to stick to that plan. We're going to hold you to that plan. Let's say you got some bands, 3 days a week, 30 minutes, utilizing some bands. We're going to build that foundation first. If you've never worked out a day in your life, or maybe you have back in the day, but we believe that like having a base strength foundation is going to be pivotal for everything else to pull from, right? Like you
Hmm.
can't really get much faster uh, if you've never really trained, you don't have a base strength because everything kind of pulls back from like one, your like work capacity and strength. So we're gonna build that, right? Like we'll we'll do some strength work with bands and body weight stuff. We'll get creative and find what works for you. And hopefully you grow out of that and you're like, all right, I want to buy some dumbbells or I want to go to a gym. Uh, but yeah, well, all in all, like depending on no matter where you are, like uh, even like when pros come to me and like they haven't had like a good plan, like we're gonna build a solid foundational strength within the athlete, right? Like so,
Mm-hmm.
I always say like how I explain it, like think of a pyramid. The base of that pyramid and the foundation is going to be your strength, right? Like can we for high reps too, right? Like um can we move well with underload, pretty much,
Okay.
and then from there we'll go into more agility work and things of that nature, right? Like, and then we'll go into like more heavier strength work, right? Because strength what will never be a weakness, and like we're not going to be like pounding weights before we're going into a tournament, super or like a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
But like with pros, we'll still hit like a heavy, let's say squat, a couple days before they're going to play. But we're not going to be doing like 5 sets of 10 or like high volume, right? Like lots of reps. We might do 3 sets of 3 reps, right? Like where we're gonna stimulate but not annihilate.
Okay.
Um,
I like that. That's a good nugget.
yeah,
Stimulate,
stimulate, not
not
annihilate,
annihilate. Yeah.
right? Like especially going into a tournament and you want to be feeling good. We want to stimulate, not annihilate. We want to make you feeling good. But yes, we'll get into some heavier strength work, more plyos and agility, and then like at the top of that pyramid, even more like speed work and reactive work and getting more and more sport specific.
Okay.
Um,
I like that answer.
but
So
yeah,
really it comes down to just having a base fitness. You want to have some sort of base of physical
got to
fitness.
have a base fitness, right? Like
Yeah.
if you can't like if you're getting out of breath during like um
The first match.
exactly, right? Like we want to have something where we can pull from because um kind of like I said earlier, like you want to think of like your base fitness as like a big sink. And every time you do a play a match or play something, whatever it is, play pickleball, like you pull the drain out of the sink and some water comes out. So like if your sink is super small, like every burst of energy, right? Like you're going to be pulling
Mhm.
out, you're going to be empty soon. But if we have a big sink, that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a big sink in the beginning,
Yeah.
so that we can pull and we have a lot of water to drain out from.
Makes total sense because I'm always jealous of like there's this guy named Hercilio Cabeas, and I don't know if
He's
you've
the local rec player that's
no
been
way.
waxing you or what? No.
Oh my god, no! I want his legs. He's got the
Oh, I don't
biggest
know.
tree trunk legs I've ever seen, and I'm just like I
Yeah,
remember meeting him and being like, that guy, that's impressive. You can tell he played
but
a lot of tennis.
yeah. That's awesome.
So when you're working with all these pro pickleball players, has it created a bit of a pickleball geek inside of you? Like, do you follow the
Dude,
tours and what's going on?
dude, I am like I'm more involved than anybody I know. I think like I'm just like a junkie is what I always refer to it as. Like I guess I
Mm-hmm.
have been ever since I don't know ever since I got in. Maybe like 6 months in, but like whatever. Like the past year and a half. Like I mean, yeah, I listen to every pod, every paddle review, every
Love it.
every creator that makes something. I mean,
Good. So these next questions I prep then will be easier for you and hopefully fun to talk about. But so we've
yeah,
got PPA and we've got the MLP as the
yeah.
two top tours, and then you've got APP, which I think does a great job too. I like Ken Herman. But which format of those two do you like watching the most, or you find
Yeah.
most interesting?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, and I'm gonna answer this based on how you phrase the question because more entertaining and what's best for the sport are two different things, I think.
Okay.
And I don't know what's best for the sport. I think a combination of both. But I think, in my opinion, I like the PPA format. I like knowing who's best, like
Mm-hmm.
just like in tennis. I like to know who's the best player in the world, pretty much. Um, but I like the MLP because it's fun and it's exciting, right? Like, and it creates you can create a lot of storylines within that of like teams and underdogs and things of that nature. You can also create communities behind teams at like local communities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I'm indifferent, but like this is my tour and like you get to pick and like you get to be, it's obviously like they're doing it's a mixture of some, and this is a very conservative answer, but it's a mixture of both, right? Like a PPA, so you understand who's the best, and the only thing I would change is like I would want to differentiate the levels within the PPA a little bit better, because right
Okay.
now, like the average viewer sees every stop as the same. Like they see at Austin or in Houston these stops at the same as like whatever the Masters was in the beginning of the year, right? Where the
Hmm.
Masters is like worth a lot more money, points wise, worth a lot more, and it's the Grand Slam. Um, like I want to differentiate like tennis does well. Like there should be like 4 or 5 slams that are like super important, super big prize money, super big money, and like these other ones, like let's differentiate them a little bit better.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm definitely in agreement with you there. And I hope that the PPA is listening and watching and taking notes from the tennis tours, because it would be really
yeah,
cool to have, like, the US Open is going on this week. And that used
yeah,
to be one of the biggest tournaments of the year.
yeah,
And then PPA says our players aren't going to be playing in that. And it's
yeah,
still a huge, I mean, I think there's 5,000 amateur players
yeah.
down
It's
there playing right now.
big amateur tour.
Yep.
Yeah,
And but it doesn't have the zeal that it did when you had the top pros there as well.
no, yeah,
And so for the PPA to create a couple that are really big, where even if it was just a pro only event and the amateurs showed
yeah,
up to watch, I think that would be kind of cool. But
yeah. I agree.
I did set you up in that. I think MLP, I'm a huge fan of that, simply
Yeah,
because you get loud, you get rowdy, you get
yeah,
behind a team. Like I have Josh Hartman coming on Friday, and
nice.
he's the team manager for DC Pickleball, and
Yeah,
I'm just like the top fan. I want to be that guy who's like backing behind the team, and I want to
yeah,
grow something within DC where even people that don't play pickleball could get
yeah,
excited about watching our team win. And I think that can
yeah.
happen through MLP, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I do too. And like I don't know who's to say like it's the best for the sport and the best for the growth and what people want, but I'm glad that we're in a place where both are existing and we can kind of let that play out and see how it goes, like
Yeah.
and it's under one unifying body where uh there won't be any foreseeable like tour wars that will happen, right? Like the best product will hopefully rise to the top. Uh, whether it's like MLP, like like basketball style format where you can travel around and like with your team, and uh, I think there's pros and cons to both for sure. But at the end of the day, if all the best players are in the same pool, that's really what I care about. It's like
Yeah.
I just don't
Agreed.
want like this split,
Well, and I'm also with you, and I like to know who is the absolute best, and the PPA format
for
does that.
sure,
The
for
rally
sure.
scoring is a really cool hiccup, though. I thought I was going to absolutely hate it, and I've
Yeah,
played a tournament that way, and I'm just watching. I think it's a lot of fun for the average consumer to be able to go out and play without having to understand side out scoring.
yeah, and I think it'll be better this year, but just because of the changes. Like for me personally, I hated the way it was last year because it was just like the scoring format was like catered to create excitement,
With the
right?
freezes.
With
Yeah.
like Raleigh scoring to 21 and a freeze, and it's like every game is close. Like this is stupid. But now it's like, and it's too fast. It's like boom, and it's over. We lost. Like holy cow! Like that was like 4 minutes. Like
Hmm.
uh, or like any other rally scoring game. You look at beach volleyball. Like they were used to be side out scoring. Now they're rally scoring, but it's best of three. So it's like where before it was like best of one, but it was side out scoring. So like 1 to 21 was like super fast. Like so, I think it's a little bit better now that they're going to 25 and there's
Yeah.
no freeze this year. Um,
Well,
so that's
I'm really
helpful, I think.
excited for Atlanta to come up so we get to see the first joint
Yeah, I'll be
venture
there
there. It should be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to try to get down there too. So I'll say what's up if I'm there.
for sure.
So the draft just went by, and I
Yeah,
like to talk about Premier because that's what most people talk about. Or
sure.
do you have a couple of favorite teams or teams that you would back or be excited about? And I know this is hard because you
Yeah.
probably work with a bunch of them, so it's a terrible
The
question.
Shock, DC, everybody I train, I'm hyped for their teams. Um, no, I think like I'm super close with Anna, and we talk a bunch and we were talking about the draft and whatnot. It's like uh, her team's exciting just because of like the upside. Like it could be, I mean, it's just a bunch of young people
So
with
what does
her.
she know about Kate Fahey that we all don't know?
She's I mean, this is what Anna does. She like picks someone out, and like if she sees like well, you got to think about a fourth round female and the value that they bring to a team. It's either going to be, you got to look at what the players are left, look at their ceiling, right? Like what is their ceiling? What is their floor? What are you going to get out of them? What do you need out of them to win? Because to win in this league, like you need to find low cost value out of that pick.
Yeah, like a
Um,
Rohrbacher from last year, which is she
like a
did
Rohrbacher,
so
right? Like
well.
someone that's so like I guess in her eyes, like if Kate can rise, then like it's definitely worth it. If she can't, then I think it's just worth the risk, you know. And she
What
saw something in her, and
I think
she was
the
asking me about her. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm not telling you what to do on this. I was like, I trust you though. I was like, you've done this. This is what you do. I was like,
well, a lot of the top
your gut
podcasts
saying
are
to do it.
giving her the benefit of the doubt for sure, based on
You
her
got
her
to,
past.
yeah, you got to. Uh, but she'll figure it out. She's good. Like I've heard some rumblings since then, and she's doing all right. Kate is.
What are your thoughts on the New York Hustlers? I don't think you train anybody on there, so maybe you can talk candidly about it. But Jack Sock,
Who is that? Jack Sock. Who
it's
was their
Klinger,
fourth
CJ
round guy?
Klinger,
CJ.
and
Who else?
hold on, I can pull it up. I have it in here somewhere.
Who are their females?
They're two pretty young ones. Let's see. New York Hustlers are Jack Sock, Kawamoto, and Leia Jansen, not young and up and comers. So pretty solid females.
Which Kawamoto? Jackie or Gabe?
Jackie.
Nice. Uh, yeah, I forget. Jack Sock, Jackie, Leia. One thing about like this is a pretty good women's team. I don't think any of the women's teams like are like super strong. I
Agreed.
think Catherine and who was it, Jade? Who's
Mm-hmm.
their female? I think that's a decent, you're right? Like that's a good women's team. This team, Jackie and Leia is good, but like I don't think there's anybody where it's like, whoa, that's a real good or like that's a good women's team.
Yeah.
Um, Jack, they're gonna go into that's a team I think will win like a weekend because it's not really like a winner on each weekend, and they'll win one, maybe two, and they'll get last in one, maybe two. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's like a
think
boomer bust kind of vibe.
yeah, it's a boomer bust for me.
Yeah, Jack at the what was
Yeah,
he? I think he went sixth overall or something like that. It seemed a little
yeah,
early, but I understand the pick because if you hold on to over 3 years, and he has value outside of pickleball.
yeah. I mean, you just marketed the heck out of him with Jack. You know, like he's a big name. He's he's really good. Um, yeah, I think middle of the pack at the end of the day, but I think they're boom or bust for sure in weekend.
Nice, man. Nice. Well,
Yeah,
I wanted to close the pod out just by talking about something that I saw online from you, and that's I saw that you're looking for like 10 different people to put through a
yeah,
training program. Can you tell me a little bit about that so some of our listeners are
for sure.
intrigued and want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so 3 times a year we do what we call an online intensive, where we take a small group of people. Last time we did five. Now we're going to do 10. And it actually is 10. Like it's not like a marketing scheme where it's like we're only taking 10, and then as many people come on. No, like we only take 10. You'll all be in like a community forum together too, so you'll know it's only 10. But uh,
Okay. So
uh,
there are checks and
yeah, so
balances to these things.
yeah. Yeah, so we take 10, and it's pretty much it's a 3 month intensive where we do online personal training for you, uh, as well as we have a sports nutritionist, registered dietitian on staff that you'll work with, and as well as like we will track a lot of different habits of like accountability of like, all right, you're going to sleep X amount of time, you're going to do this. So it's like a intensive, high accountability 3 month intensive where we're doing personal training, habit tracking, as well as nutrition. Um, and we believe like we've seen it like with 3 months of like focused work there and like diligence there that it just kind of sets you up to go on your own and kind of do things after that. Like that 3 months with us, like hopefully our goal is for that you to like dial in your training, one to like uh make you disciplined and motivated to get back into training and working out, keep you accountable, as well as like lock in your nutrition, right? Like whether it's performance side or you want to gain weight or lose weight, whatever that may be. So that after those 3 months, you can stay working with us, right? Like this is a premium price. You can stay working with us. We give it discounted if you want to, highly
Hmm.
discounted. Or you just want maybe you want to go on your own and like, yo, I got the like I'm feeling good, I'm motivated now, and like this is exactly what I need. We've seen a lot of success in that. So yeah, we do that 3 times a year where we take a small set group. Like we do some challenges within the group, like we give them some swag. Um, but it's a higher ticket item due to like the accountability, obviously the accountability within the registered dietitian as well,
Hmm.
nutrition counseling. And then on the flip side, we give a discounted rate. It's like, hey, you want to stay on for like still like some programming and coaching and training. We'll give you a highly discounted rate to stay on with us. And like you've established the habits and the routines now. You just want the programming now. You just want the coaching.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Well,
we
I
do
mean,
that.
no matter what you're charging, it's the accountability aspect of it is huge, because I've always
Yeah, for
found
sure.
that if I'm paying for something, I want to get my dollars value worth. But
Yeah,
on top of
yeah,
that, if you're following up and holding accountable to like not eating ice cream, just my
yeah, yeah,
weakness,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like the other little
Dude, I
things.
love me some ice cream too. I'm a big ice cream guy. I'm a big sweets guy in general. Like
But I've
sweets,
also
but
heard like if you do something for 21 straight days, it forms a bit of a habit in your
it
brain
does,
as well.
and we've just seen like whatever it is, right? Like we're gonna meet you where you're at. Like, um, well, that's 3 days a week we start at, and we work up to like five, and like we just want to build that habit. Like maybe we start at working out 3 days a week, and but like, all right, well, we can work out 3 days a week, but you're gonna do 20-minute walks on those other days, and you're
Hmm.
gonna obviously we're tracking your nutrition, your food logging, and other things, and then we work up to 4 days a week and other walks and stuff like that. So it's like we're building and building and building, and then. Yeah, we just want to build the habit. That's what it's all about. Like once you build it, and then it's like, oh, I don't really hate working out so much now. It's not too
That's right.
much of a chore, right? Like,
Hmm. It's
it's
just
kind of
part of your
cool. Like, cause
routine.
yeah, it's part of your routine, and results are fun. It's addicting.
And people can find you. I found you on Instagram at
Yeah.
that pickleball trainer. Correct.
Yep.
Where do you have a
Correct.
website or other stuff?
Yeah. Website is c2perform.co. I'll send it to you, and you can put it in the show notes, and we
Yep.
kind of go from there. But that, and then at that pickleball trainer for Instagram. Um, yeah, we'd love to help you all out if you're interested in some online training, personal training.
No, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. I know a lot of people will. I mean, this pickleball thing is crazy in that they're estimating we
Yeah,
had 30 million people play last year.
insane. It's
And
wild,
I would
right?
say like 6 or 8 million of those are fanatical junkies like myself who are watching the
And me.
pods
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
and playing
yeah,
all the time. Oh, that was the other thing. What is your kind of pickleball story? Have you picked up a paddle? Are you going after it and on the court?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I play. I'm addicted.
Because baseball players, the hand-eye coordination tends to work really well for
Yeah.
hand
I
battles.
like the first year I was in, I was like so busy trying to build this thing and like traveling on tour. Like I was surrounded by pickleball, but I wasn't playing that much, like my time wasn't my own because I was traveling with Catherine, right? Like it's like I'm not gonna like go play while I'm working and like uh but it's funny, like and then I started playing and like found more time, and it's funny, like even Travis tells me now, and like I say it to people all the time, like my first uh um, impression and like my first instances around pickleball was only thing I knew was how pros played, right? Like all I watched was the pro tour. So like I'm like starting out whatever, let's say I'm a 3-5, like I'm like trying to roll every day. I'm trying to, like do everything like pros, and he's like, Travis, you know how he talks. He's like, Connor, stop effing rolling your dinks. He's like, just push it over the net.
That's
He's
right.
like,
Just get it
like
in. Just get it in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I'm trying to do like I just that's all I knew. Like I watched them play and I watched them do everything perfect, and I'm like trying to be like them, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I gotta change that. But yeah, yeah, I play all the time now. I'm a complete junkie. Just finally hit or not finally, but I got to hit all those new YOLO paddles these last couple of days, which has been awesome.
Yeah,
They're
my new
freaking awesome,
what
dude.
is it? Magnus Alpha is on the way. My buddy just picked it
Woo!
up at the US
That
Open. So
one's that one's fun. They're all fun. They're literally all fun. Like I always play with a thin paddle. I play with Anna's, just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a homie.
Yep.
But I don't know if I will now, just because I want to play with a 16. Like they're all just even the 16, they're powerful.
Wow. Yeah. Well, she's got I guess she plays the Scorpius 14. So maybe is the
Yeah,
16, is that Collins paddle?
DJs, yeah, Colin.
Okay. Yeah.
But I like Ben 16. I just like them all. You're going to create great shape, great power. Like they're just, it's an awesome paddle, super
Well,
fun
the
paddle.
website was
Uh,
crashing yesterday with people buying them online. So,
they crushed this like whole launch. Like I just feel like the build up to it, the launch, like the good paddle. Like yeah, it's you're gonna love that magnet to that magnet. Watching
well,
like
I've
a
been
pro
playing
hit
with
with it too. Like yeah,
I've been playing with that 6-0 Ruby, which I like a lot just
fun
because
paddle.
it's a little softer on the face, but
Mm,
you still get some decent pop at the net.
yeah,
And so, hoping that I can control this new Eula
yeah.
coming my way, because I hear it plays somewhat like a gearbox, but a little easier to control. And that gearbox paddle was too much
Definitely
in
easier to
my,
control.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to control, but it's not like it doesn't have the dwell time. I don't think of the Ruby
Okay.
necessarily. Uh, but yeah, dude, I'm a junkie and like I get to play. Luckily, like I have Travis that'll be like, if he can't find anybody that's actually good to hit, he'll be like, hey, come hit with me or something. I'm like, all right, sweet,
Oh, that sounds awesome.
uh,
That's like a
yeah,
dream come true. So you're going
yeah,
to get
yeah.
really good really fast with getting to hit with
It
guys
does
like that.
help, like he just hits me and wins every hands battle. And I win one and I just talk crap or something.
I love it, man. Well,
Yeah,
I hope if I'm down in Florida, I might see you in a tournament
for sure.
bracket, or we'll bump into each other, I'm sure, at different
Yeah,
places. But
for sure.
really appreciate your openness to coming on and hearing
Yeah,
your story. And if there's anything that I can do or here at the Pickle Pulse we can help you out with, just let us know, and we'll do our best for it.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, Brian.
All right,
Thanks for
Connor.
having me on.
Yeah, man. Take care. See ya.
So, yeah, nicely done.
Yes, sir. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I didn't want to
Fun.
ask you this on, but how do you feel about Monster energy drinks, nicotine patches, and also Ritalin to keep you going during tournaments? Because I've
Wow,
heard, and I'm not going to
all
say a
three.
name, but I've heard that there are people using all of the above.
Yeah, I mean there's people using other stuff too that's not great for the system.
That's not good.
Nicotine's not bad. I mean that's pretty research now of like the benefits for focus and whatnot. Um,
Interesting. So like
yeah, Andrew
the
Huberman
little,
talks about it a good amount.
yeah, as long as
Like
you're not smoking. Yeah, the little pouchy
yeah,
things.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. As long as you're not just smoking heaters and new parts, putting them back. I love the taste of monsters, but like they're not ideal for the system for the
Yeah.
body.
I kind of
But
figured
I
you were
do,
gonna say that.
yeah. I mean, just like all the chemicals and crap. But like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't drink them either.
Yeah, you need to pick
Do as
me
I
up from
say.
time to time.
Yeah, 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 dude. I know. Yeah, I'm a big espresso guy, so I'm like trying to stay on that. But
Oh, that's
instead,
good
but
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Well, Connor, appreciate
But
you, man.
yeah, appreciate you having me. Look forward to listening when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you know when it does, and I'll probably tag you on Instagram as well. And again, if there's
Cool.
like anything I can do, like connecting you with people, I know a handful of guys. You're probably way more connected than I am, but always open to help when I
Cool.
can.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thanks,
All right,
Brian.
dude. Be good, man.
All right. See ya.